Assalamu alaikum to all of you in botany class. Our today's topic is slime molds. First of all, these slime molds come under kingdom Protista also. First of all, we have to know what are slime molds. These are the organisms which are saprophytic. Saprophytic. It means that they depend upon dead and decaying matter for their food. For example, dead leaves and twigs. But in case of favorable conditions, these organisms accumulate, and accumulation of these slime in case of favorable conditions, these organisms accumulate. So accumulation of slime molds takes place in them. Accumulation. When accumulation takes place in them, they form a new structure. Accumulation of slime molds form a new structure which we call as plasmodium. This plasmodium is, it means that this plasmodium is group of slime molds. Group of slime molds. But in case of unfavorable conditions, these organisms differentiate. When they form slime molds like this, it is plasmodium. Plasmodium is group of slime molds. But in case of favorable conditions, these organisms differentiate. Unfavorable conditions, these organisms try to differentiate. And due to differentiation, these form spores. These form spores with true walls. But these spores are resistant. These are resistant. For example, when they form spores like this, these spores are formed at the tip of fruiting body. There becomes a structure. This is a spore. This spore is formed at the tip of fruiting body. So we can say spores are formed at the tip of the fruiting body. Now we will discuss about what are the categories. First of all, we will discuss upon protozoa. As far as these protozoa are concerned, these protozoa are protozoa. These protozoa are also heterotrophic. Before this, I have given a lecture on kingdom Protista, and in these protozoans are included in this. As far this protozoa is concerned, these are heterotrophic, and I have told you these are primitive relatives of animals, because it works a connection, it works a link between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. These prokaryotes and eukaryotes, we know prokaryote starts from Monera kingdom and eukaryote starts from Protista. and J plants and animalia respectively. But in case of when there are some categories which come under this category, for example amoeboid protozoan. When we talk of amoeboid protozoan, amoeboid protozoan, these organisms intake, these have pseudopodia. Pseudopodia. These, as far these amoeboid protozoans are concerned, these organisms have pseudopodia. So these organisms use pseudopodia for their food intake and locomotion. These use pseudopodia for food intake. They take their food with the help of pseudopodia, and another help they is locomotion. These organisms locomotion. These organisms use pseudopodia to move from one place to another. These pseudopodia are also called false feet. False feet. We know these protozoans are also marine. It means that they live in seawater. Marine, the organisms or the protozoans which are marine, these have silica in their shell. These are marine and marine protozoans. Marine protozoans have silica in their shell. For example, ant amoeba histolytica. For example, ant amoeba histolytica, which causes dysentery. Then there is next class of protozoan, which is called the ciliated protozoan. Number 2, ciliated protozoan. These ciliated protozoan, we can quote the for these ciliated protozoans, we can quote the example of paramecium here, like this. These have cilia in their body surface. Thousands of structures come out, and these are called as cilia. Then there is a cavity here. This cavity is called gullet. So on the surface of paramecium, there are present thousands of white-like structures which we called as cilia. So in between the cilia there is present a cavity which I have told you, it is called gullet. Then water and nutrients enter into the body of paramecium. Water and nutrients enter into the body of paramecium through this gullet. Then we can say removal of waste materials also takes place through gullet. It also removes waste materials. Removal of waste materials takes place through this gullet. For example, we can quote the example of here. Then there are flagellated protozoans. Number 3rd. Flagellated protozoans. These flagellated protozoans, for example, we can quote the example of trypanosoma here. Trypanosoma gambians. This organism causes a disease, which is causes a disease which is called sleeping sickness. Sleeping sickness. So this sleeping sickness is a disease, but SC acipla is a vector. SC acipla works as a vector which carries this disease to human body. It is the vector carries disease to human body. Now there are sporozoans. Fourth one. Sporozoans. These sporozoans are also called malarial parasites. Malarial parasites. For example, this malarial, there are three different species of Plasmodium. Three different species of Plasmodium. These are malarial parasites. But before this, I have discussed with you about Plasmodium, but that Plasmodium was different from these, because this is a malarial parasite and another is accumulation of saline molds. Then there is second species of this malarial parasite, which we call as number one is Plasmodium vivax, and number two is Plasmodium falciparum. And another one is Plasmodium malaria. Plasmodium malaria. So these were three different species. So it is the disease caused by these organisms is called sporozoid disease, or we can say infectious disease caused by these organisms is called sporozoid. Now we have to remember here that this Plasmodium is malaria causing, and another Plasmodium which I have told you is accumulation of slime molds, which is different from this Plasmodium. So thank you very much.